Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host. I'm not a guest today. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest is Jackie Cote. She's a bit of a nomad. She travels around a great deal. Why? Well, we're going to find out all about that. But, we always want to know what the why shows are all about. Why do people do what they do? Why are they driven to do this? And she says her why is to help as many women possible to awaken to their power of who they are, who they're meant to be on this earth, so that they can create the freedom lives and exponentially impact the world through their journeys. This all starts with first loving yourself fully, unapologetically, showing the world who you really are. Being someone who is very successful in leadership management in the chaotic world of restaurants, she always knew what it was meant to be more and doing her own thing, but just didn't know how or what or how. Once she was shown the possibilities of coaching and mentoring in her own business, the whole world changed in a moment. Your freedom life is waiting for you. What is freedom life? Well, she is a freedom empowerment mentor, international speaker, RV adventurous with over 30 years in leadership management in the restaurant business. She suddenly got fired one day, and it ended up being the best day of her life. After mentoring and developing over 300 leaders in their career to new levels, she decided to take her gifts to the world with her own business. And she now mentors ambitious professionals who no longer believe in the hustle and the grind, but aren't quite sure how to get out of what they're losing this, but aren't quite sure how to get out of what without losing success, what they've already built, but rather carrying it forward. After working with Jackie, you start doing what you are meant to do and being who you are meant to be, and doing instead of doing the no shoulds here. No shoulds allowed, just the passion and the drive of what you want to do, living unapologetically, finding that beautiful instrument that you are, igniting it and putting it into gear. Welcome to the show, Jackie.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me. I've been so looking forward to this ever since we connected on the 262 project. So excited.
Yeah, me too, very much so, because your inspirational talk was wonderful. And for people who don't know what the 262 is, on the 8th of every month, if you just go to selfdiscoverywisdom.com up to events, you can sign up for it there. And it is 8 hours of inspirational speakers that will illuminate your lives. And Jackie is one, and I do the podcasts of all these wonderful people. So I'm the lucky person. And you're lucky to be listening, because we learn best from people who have taken the journey. They've crashed and burned, or they've got back up out of the ashes. They've said no to something that they've worked all their life for and saying, no, it's not for me. There's got to be something more. When we land on our backside, it's not about you landed in the doo-doo. How are you going to get back up? How are you going to get back up? What are you going to do now? Right? And as you said, the best day of your life was losing your job. And funny enough, that's a kind of a theme for many, many people. They wouldn't have left on their own accord, because sensibility, I've got a good paycheck, it's a good job, will I get something else? All that chatter, the shoulds, right? And then it's taken out of your hands. You're fired. It's come to an end. And now what?
Yes. Oh my gosh. That is, it's funny when I say that, because I get so many heads nodding, like, yes. And I get a lot of heads nodding, the heads going, gosh, I wish, and they almost wish they could just let go and step into that next stage. But it's scary, because it is the safe thing to do. And our brain likes to stay in the safe of what we know. And it doesn't really want to operate. It doesn't know how to operate in the unknown of what's possible until we make it
Yes.
possible, until we make it a vision, right? That we can really feel and step into. And that's one of my biggest passions. What I love doing with people is helping them create that vision of what's possible and next. Because that was done for me 2 months before I got fired. And
Mm.
everything in the universe happens exactly the way it's supposed to happen
Yeah.
in life. And I met the coaching world after 29 years, 20, almost 30 years. But I met the coaching world 2 months before I got let go through a friend of mine who was weirdly happy on Facebook, right? Like one of those, like they were unhappy and all of a sudden they were like totally different happy. And I was like, interesting. I was like, what are you doing? What's going on? And he told
Mm.
me, he's like, he met this world because I only knew football coach, soccer coach, right?
Mm.
I didn't know like there was these things called life coaches and business coaches. And when I saw the possibility, I was like, well, heck, you know, I hadn't been in school since '94, so I was like, let's just go back to school for a little bit and get a certification for this thing and check it out. And within like a week of like the material, I was like, what? Like I can do
Mm.
everything that I've been doing, all
Mhm.
my gifts, I can put into my own business. Like I never
Mm.
knew this existed. And when we discover, like, I think a lot of us know we have these gifts that we're so naturally and organically, but we don't trust that we can do something bigger with them, right?
Ah,
And
could
so we
never
just
happen
kind of,
to me. You know, this is for
right,
someone else. It's not for me. You know, who am I?
yeah, yeah, and we always say like whatever comes easy to you is really what you're meant to be doing, kind of thing in this world, in whatever capacity, whether it's nonprofit, for profit, whatever it is. And when because I saw that possibility, it had been 2 months in, and I was just like, okay, I was 6 months until I finish this certification. I was like, and then I'll start my business. Well, then 2 months in, I got let go from my career, and like you said in the thing, we won't leave unless
Yeah.
like the known, unless we have something that kind of like pushes us out. But if I didn't have that possibility, that
Mm.
vision of what's possible, I would have automatically gone and got another job. But here's the funny thing, Sarah. I actually applied for jobs and I got 3 offers and I turned one down. I turned number two down after like, and they were going to pay me more than what I was getting paid. And I had this knowing I'm like, there's more, like stay, stay. And the third one was a guy that used to work with me at a previous company because I worked for companies like Starbucks, Outback, Potbelly. Pava is more East Coast, but long story short, like he said to me, he goes, I'd hire you. I don't need to interview you, but what do you really want to do? And when he asked that question, I was like, oh, I want to open my business and I want to do this. I'm not ready. And I was like a kid in a candy store. And he was like, great. He goes, how much money do you have saved up? And I
Mm.
was like, I had some money in my savings and I had cleared my credit cards for a bit. But I wasn't ready to like blow it all out and charge everything up. At least I didn't think I was ready. But he goes, great. He goes, how long can you live on that? And I had decided to go all in. So I was selling my house, I was cutting my expenses in half, and I was going to build this business while I had a job.
Mm.
And he goes, well, I'm not going to hire you today. He goes, I want you to come back to me in a year. He goes, I want you to go try it, see what happens. And if you don't have it, I'll give you a job, guaranteed. And I was like, permission granted. And so, like that, like, right?
Yes.
How many
Yes.
times do we not
The
give
green
ourselves
light.
permission?
Yeah.
Yes. He saw this belief in me that at the moment I was still obviously new
Mm.
to it. I needed to borrow his belief in me at that moment
Mm.
and that permission because I wasn't giving myself full on permission. I still was like, and if anybody's ever been in the restaurant business listening to this, you know it's hard work, it's a lot of hours. There's really not a lot of time to build a side gig.
No,
Just build a side business.
no,
So
no.
when he
It
said
is.
that to me, I said thank you, and I appreciate you, and I'm mad that you're not hiring me, but I'm also happy that you're not hiring me.
Right.
And from that point on, I decided that well, if he believes in me, I'm just going to borrow that, and I'm going to do what I can do, and I built the business from there, but not right away, not right
Right.
away.
Well, let's look at the word permission because it's
Yeah,
actually huge. You know, we will make every excuse in the book, but face that permission. And the permission, he all he did was ignite the permission inside of you. He gave
yes,
you that alternative, right? But ultimately, it's the permission we have to give ourselves. Do I
yes,
give myself permission to take this risk, to take this chance? But when you look at the restaurant business, and I've been in it too, I've owned a restaurant, my son owns a restaurant. Every day is a gamble. You know,
right.
are people going to come in? Are we going to get the food supply? You know, are the servers going to turn up? Are they going to end up dancing on the table? You know, every day. There is something in the restaurant business,
I
right?
haven't heard that one before. I
Oh
love
no, believe me,
it.
yes, yes, yeah. We came back from dinner one time to find one of our waitresses dancing on the table. And it's like, yeah, we own a
That's a whole
pizza
other
joint, but
episode.
yeah, I mean, the things that you never thought of. I often said we should have written a book because, it would be so you want to open a restaurant, huh? Things you need to
Yeah.
know. But I think, what we need to
Yes.
look at, and the permission comes from it. You were more than capable of doing the work you were doing and the skills and the knowledge that you'd picked up along the way. All you had to do was give yourself permission to apply it to your business, not somebody else's. But it takes us a long time to
Yes.
get to that permission, doesn't it?
It does. And that's why I like to just kind of highlight early on when we have mentors and people that believe in
Yeah.
us, like borrow, the biggest thing is holding that gift of belief for me to, when I was promoting all those people and moving them up through the ranks in the industry, that they were like, I couldn't do that. Well, yeah,
Mm,
okay. Well, I believe you can. So borrow
mm,
mine until you get there. And then when you
yes.
get there, I'm going to raise the bar again. So get ready.
Mm,
We're going to raise that gift of belief even higher. And and that I remember saying like, well, like, what's your why when you were like doing this? And I was like, I want to be able to do what I want when I want, whenever I want, without having to ask for permission from anyone for
hmm
like time off or anything,
hmm
but for myself too. I realized how much there's like a light that gets shined on when you take the leap that
Yes.
goes, all right, are you going to give yourself permission to be seen? Are you going to give
Mm,
yourself permission that your message is worth to be heard? Like people need to hear your message. Are you going to give yourself permission to ask for money?
yeah.
So this light is being shown on all of the ways that we don't give ourselves permission to do something different than anyone in your family has ever done you know
Yes.
there's so much, and so you're right, we don't give ourselves permission, or permission to I can even go deeper, or permission to feel our feelings, permission to
Yes.
to
Yes.
celebrate our
Mm.
feelings. so
Or even the
so
fact that we're
much.
actually scared dudaless, that this is a
Yes.
scary thing. And that, yes,
Yes.
can I do it? Should I do it? Am I being responsible? I mean, the arguments that you have with yourself, right?
Right.
And but on the other side, there's another voice going, yes, but yes, but yes, but sit on your butt. Sit on your butt, right? Get all the negatives out. Get all the I can't and then get it all out. All right. Now look at what you have in your hand. Years of
Mm-hmm.
experience, right? The do's and the don'ts in business. What have you been missing? The passion. The
Mm-hmm.
passion.
Mm-hmm.
Does your job make you feel passionate about what you're doing? And
Mm-hmm.
what's the difference between a solopreneur or small entrepreneur to kind of working in a big corporate? Passion. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How many people do you know working in corporate type businesses or chain restaurants or anything else that I'm passionate about my job? But when you talk to
Mm-hmm.
them about their own business, even if they may be struggling and it's taking every moment of their day, they're passionate about it. And I think that's what is the missing link in so many people. What is the passion? Because when the passion is there, it's the driving force.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And it's so interesting because people say, well, what kept you in that industry for so long? Because I was the only kid in my family who left Jersey, who didn't get the 2.5 kids, picket fence, buy the
I don't
house,
know, we never
like
understand 2.5
engineering.
kids. Yeah.
I know. It's just I just think it's cute, so I
There's a
just like to
half a
say.
kid running somewhere.
Right. And like they're all in Jersey still, and
Mm,
then there was me who was post college. I graduated and tried to teach and came home to Jersey for a year, and I was like, nothing feels right here right now. So
yeah.
I left and I traveled the country and did different things in the restaurants, where the restaurant business kind of came into my blood. It came into my blood at 15 when I ran a bakery in Jersey as a 15-year-old. They gave me the keys, which it's not legal to have someone under the age of 16 running something at night alone.
She
We
looks
do a lot of
16.
we do a lot of illegal things in Jersey, right? So let's just leave that there. Um, but but that but as I like was in the restaurant industry and traveling, the thing that lit me up, the passion that you spoke about,
Mm,
passion was the people. And people always
yeah.
question me, like, why do you keep promoting people? Like, why do you keep like helping them, and then they leave you? They're their best people. Like, don't you want to keep them to run your restaurant? And I was like, no, because I wouldn't be here. I won't stay unless I can promote people. Because my passion was to help people go to next levels, make more money, have more time freedom, spend more time with their kids, buy houses, do the things that they want to do in their life, and feel the passion of what they're meant to be doing, what they love to be doing. And I could only do it so much, right, in a job. But the cool thing about the restaurant industry, you can be a freer than you can in a corporate America job, because I get to like act like it's my restaurant. So I always had that entrepreneurial spirit in me, that passion in me, that was like, they swore they were going to put my name above the Starbucks logo. They were going to put like Jackie's Place and above the Cava and above the Potbelly. Like they're like, I treated it like it was my own,
Yeah.
but I was still scared to take the leap because I didn't know how to make it my own. And I was still scared to do a restaurant. And God bless you and your family, because it is.
Yes,
Write
no,
that
it's a
book.
hard job. It's a very
Write
hard
that
job.
book.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
It was scary to take that leap, and there was something that kept pulling me back from not doing that and not doing that. I looked at I looked at places, and I kept pulling me back. And because the passion for all the pieces wasn't there. And then when I saw this, I saw the ability to have the time freedom, the ability to, if I work harder, I make more money. Whereas for years I was told you could only make this much. So there
Mm,
was a cap to that. There was a cap to a lot of things. And my first 6 months after getting fired, I took off and I traveled 7 different places for 2 days, 5 days, 7 days, and went to 7 different places. And I was like, there's no job that would let me do that in 6 months.
right.
Like, there's no job underneath someone else's um, control that would let me do that. And I was, from that point on, I tasted the freedom, and I would never
Mm,
go back. I knew at
exactly.
that point, I was like, I can't go back. So that leap became much more, my passion got even higher for what I
Yes.
wanted to create. Because now that I
Became more
felt this, I was
directed.
like, yeah. And I
Yeah.
wanted more people to feel this.
Yes,
I wanted
exactly.
more people to like get what it is that we just created. So
Yeah.
thank you for bringing up the passion, because it's so important.
I think it is really impacting. I mean, in my son, it's in his blood because his father and I owned a restaurant. I grew up working in restaurants as well, as many other things, because I'm one of these dip into many pies type of thing. But the thing about the restaurant business, I always say for him, when somebody goes out with a smile on the face and a smile in the stomach, he's happy, right? And if his staff, have left the big restaurants to come and work in his little one because they feel seen, heard, and valued there, he's
Yes.
happy. But it also had to be that balance he had to find. And this is the thing in any business. When you're starting out, you're going to pour everything into it. And you've got to remember to find the balance. And I remember saying to him when he was opening his restaurant, which actually this Sunday is 6 years. I remember saying to him,
Congratulations.
yeah, I know, I'm going through COVID and broken Achilles heel and numerous other things. And yeah, he's been doing very well
Yeah.
and does catering as well. So he caters a great deal for his community. But I remember saying to him, it's like having twins. And then I actually went away for a while. And when I came back, and he said, no, you lied. It's like having triplets. Now he says it's like having quads, you know? And that's the
I
thing
love
is,
it.
whatever you're pouring yourself into, know what you are getting into and know that initially it's going to take a lot from you and be prepared to do
Hmm.
that. But as you get in there and you gather a rhythm, then you go, you know what? I now have empowered somebody else to take the reins on this because leaders should create leaders, should leaders that are good leaders will create leaders, right? And then in
Right.
their own leadership, they can now give you that time you need. But initially, you're pouring a
Mm.
lot of time into your business, aren't you?
Yes. So here's my first 9 months of my business you just described perfectly. I designed my business the same way the restaurant used to work me. So I would work days, nights, weekends.
Mhm,
Like I always had that schedule because you work a lot and you work all the time in the restaurant
mhm.
business in all different places.
Yes.
So I took that same belief system into running my own business, and I was meeting everybody and I was all in, and I was having all these amazing discovery calls and all these things. And 9 months in with my one-on-one coach, I'm like, okay, I am working hard and I'm doing a lot of things, and I was not making that money. I wasn't
Hmm.
bringing in like income, and clients weren't enrolling. Well, we analyze the situation. So there's two things that I learned from this part, and it flipped from September 2019 to October, November, December. the first thing I learned was that I wasn't making offers because I had these money stories that were telling me that if they
Yes.
gave me money, they were helping me become successful, and I don't need any help becoming successful, so I can just do this on my own.
Where did
How
that one come
silly,
from?
out loud does that sound?
Ooh, I know.
Right?
I
It
know.
was, and
How were you listening to that one? Yes.
right. And I didn't even real and that's why like it's so important to have a mentor that can see what
Yes.
you can't see and read that label
Yes.
on the jar because
Yeah.
you're stuck in the jar. And
Mm.
I'm like, well, that's dumb. And as soon
Yeah.
as I heard that one, I flipped it and I started making offers. So I
All
started
right.
making money, right? The second thing was she said, well, what schedule do you really want to work? Because I heard the words I'm working hard
Mm.
out of your mouth. And do you want to change that story from the restaurant industry of 30 years? And I was
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, I do. And I did create more like over the years because I worked smarter, not harder. And like you said, I worked through people and I empowered other people and all that stuff. And I was a master of creating teams and
Yeah.
yada yada. But I didn't in my own business, I didn't see, I was in this scarcity mode of like I need to like do all the things and everything. So I wasn't trusting in the process. I wasn't trusting in self. So she said, well, what's your schedule? I said, I want 10 to 4, Monday through Thursday, no Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, no nights. And I went like off. And she's like, hey, let's do it. And I was like, what? Are you crazy? So she goes, don't schedule anything more than what you already have on your October schedule. She's like, if anyone asks you, you're gonna have to push it out to
Yeah.
like December. And I was like, what? So my schedule got smaller. And Sarah, I don't know about you, but I didn't know the concept of being. And
Yeah.
like we have the doing and the having, right?
Yeah.
Like we go to a job, we make money, we do, we have, we work, we make money. I had no concept of the third part of this process of
Yes.
being. So she's like,
Yes.
I said, what do I do with this free time? I like sat there like dumbfounded. And she's like, you're gonna be. And I was like, what
Yeah.
does that mean? so so we created a being list, a nourishment list of like, you're gonna go walk your dog, you're gonna go take a bath, you're gonna go
Mm.
call a friend, you're gonna go spend some time with you, journal, whatever. We made a whole list. And I was sweating for the first month, but my income went from 1,000 to 3,000 in 1 month. And I was like, okay, that's probably because I was making offers, not because of this whole trusting and surrendering thing. So we did it again, and my schedule got smaller, and I had more free time. So I was like, okay, take a bath. Okay, I don't like to take a bath, so we'll go play with the. I was literally checklisting like being, and I didn't understand the concept of being
Mm.
because that was not what you did in life before. Second month, I ended up bringing in about 5,000, like 5,500, and then December was 6,500, and that was because I it proved to me finally after 3 months that when you trust and you lean in and you really enjoy that front end process in this and building this business and just enjoying, I'm talking to people and I'm helping them I'm meeting people, telling them what to do, making offers. And I was doing this on a regular basis, but I was doing it on my time frame and I was being
Yes.
it I surrendering to the results and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, guess what? This gets to be easy. It doesn't have to be a struggle and a hard push.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, it just showed me that I get to have the freedom, but the freedom to be me and control and have that permission, like we talked
Mm-hmm.
about earlier, the permission to be and the permission to enjoy life. And so now what I'm super passionate about is helping people create the
The life.
life of
Mm-hmm.
what they desire and fitting the success and money into it. Because I
Right.
went guns a blazing the first way. Because we're
Yes.
taught like create the money, the success, and the this.
Mm.
Well, I wasn't making any money trying to create the money and success. When I learned to create the life and fit the money and success into it, then the money came.
Well,
So
that's
that being is so important.
I'm going to absolutely elaborate on that because, I always say that before anybody's going to buy from you, they're going to buy you. And if you're busy doing, all they see is the doingness. When they see you being who you are, the light and the love and the passion of what you're doing, they're buying the beingness, right?
I
It's
love
not
that.
what you're doing, it's who you're being. I like who she is. I like what her message is. I hear it deeper because she's being it. We're
Mm-hmm.
all doing and we're trying to get out of the doing and trying to be. And when
Mm-hmm.
you step into the beingness and you are this unapologetically, if I don't fit into your into the mold that you want, then I'm perfectly okay with that. But I am
Mm-hmm.
being me. Take me or leave me.
Yes.
And if you feel me, right, and it isn't about seeing you per se, it's about feeling you, and then they're open and ready to receive you and all that you've got to give. And they'll absorb
Yes.
it better. People are so busy. I was a doer. I've been a people
Yep.
pleaser and a doer all my life. Bending into a pretzel, I got a huge big backache from it, and yet I was still doing. to please everyone because I
Mm-hmm.
thought that's what you had to do. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
very long, arduous journey for me to trust in being who I was and without
Yes.
apology. And just
Mm-hmm.
people will take you or leave you. It doesn't matter. Don't take it personally. You're just not their cup of tea, right?
Yes.
And but they want the beingness because the beingness is something where they feel I've got the authentic you. I've got the
Mm-hmm.
passion of you. I've got
Mm-hmm.
the whole encompassing of why you're doing it of you. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to absorb that so much better than if you're just telling me what to do rather than encouraging
Yes.
me, the client, to be.
Preach, my friend, preach. Like I get goosebumps when this stuff comes up because, and I wrote down buying the being because people are
Mm,
buying the being. I never
mm,
heard it put that way, so I love that because I say feelers are buyers, and when they
yes,
feel you and they know you and they trust
yes.
and like you, then they're going to want to be with you and they're going to want to have what it is that you have and what you create and all of that. And there's so much, like there's a lot of Facebook. Let's just talk about Facebook, for example. You know, people are like, oh my gosh, I hate Facebook, this, that, da, 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 all the things. And I'm just using as an example for me. Well, Facebook and started out, I built my 6 figure plus business for the first 3 years with no website or anything except Facebook and meeting people, similar to the
Mm,
conversation we're having. And but on Facebook, what I did was I created a digital diary. I just showed up. I showed up and did a live while walking my dog and talked about
mm,
movement. But and then now I do my travels on Facebook and then I talk about my business. I talk about my ahas and like anything that like sparks that I'm like, oh, I want to tell a friend this. I just show up and share it on Facebook and it's become this organic digital diary of who I am. And that for me was so easy. It wasn't something that was like, I have to do content. I need my content calendar. I need to have it very specific and have it put a, no, it was just, I show up when I want to show up and share with the world. And that was my first aha of being in this marketing world. People think I got to market, I got to do this. But if you're not being you and you're doing what other people are telling you to do,
then you're
now,
just a part of everybody else. You know, how do people
right,
distinguish, right? How
right,
do people choose? They want a
right.
connection. They want a
Yes.
connection. They want to, the best thing you can do in any form of business is develop a relationship. And people get confused with what that is that when you're being, encouraging them to be, there is a connection between you that, yes, you
Mm-hmm.
may do business, but at the same time, they consider you a friend in business. And that
Yes.
friendship is what will refer you and have them coming back to you and speak
Mm-hmm.
highly of the experience of you. And, yes, social media gets a bad rap, but we've got to remember it's an algorithm. What you put out is what's going to be received. If you're putting
Yes.
out positive things, encouraging things, and interacting with other people, right? Not just like we're going in, making comments, sharing their posts. It is building a community of communicating and
Mm-hmm.
supporting, and it has
Mm-hmm.
proven over and over to me to be an amazing support when I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, when I needed it. So we've got to
Mm-hmm.
understand just because somebody's had a bad experience doesn't mean you have to have. It's what are
Yes.
you feeding and what is people gobbling up from what you're feeding? And it's what they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be regurgitating back at you. And if you don't like it, obviously something you've been feeding out there. So change your tactic, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Like I joke around with people. I was like, in person, do you just like touch their nose and say, like you, and walk away? Like, no, you actually have a conversation. Like, imagine yourself just being like, boop, and walking away. No, like say something, conversate, be humans again.
Look
And
at
there's
each other
this
in the eyes. Hello. Yes.
the screen like has changed the dynamic of communication and people forget that we're all humans in the end,
Yeah.
like we're all like looking for connection like you said, and we can create connection so many fabulous ways now. I watched the last night I watched the Beanie Baby movie, the one that tells about the way that the Beanie
The
Babies
Beanie
and yada
Babies,
yada,
right?
and they had this like AOL, there's this new thing called American Online Watch. Like AOL just came out, and how like right the beginning of the internet, the beginning of all these
Yes.
things. And it fascinated me because I was like, I forget
Yes.
how long we've had this gift. And it's and what you, like you said, what we put into this gift is what we will get back.
Yes,
That's anything in life. What you put into your relationship is
absolutely.
what you will get back.
Exactly. Exactly. Do
Mm-hmm.
you want customers? They're going to want to come back or they're going to refer you? Well, give them the experience where they feel they had a touch of you, right?
Yes.
That they felt that you were really genuine, you really cared, because come on, we've all been through this. The perfect salesman, there's like a puppet here, saying all the right things, and I'm going to make you six figures, and da 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 da, and I call them grandstanders, because you know that they've mastered the words, and they say
Mm-hmm.
it in a high pitch energy to raise your energy up. But you know
Mm-hmm.
they don't practice it. You know they don't
Mm-hmm.
feel it. And you know that if they met you face to face, they actually wouldn't know how to communicate with you where you're at, only lord over you with where they're at.
Yes. They don't get on another person's map.
No,
That's what I call it.
yeah,
Like, I'm here to get on your map. I want to know and feel you, and how, what is it about what, who I'm being can serve you in the
yes,
moment and connect
yes,
with you and be for you. And it's funny, isn't it? It's so funny. I don't know if you get this, but I get like someone that I've met in the process. My whole business is built on people I've met since I started the business. I actually only have one or two people from my past life, if you want to call it,
yeah,
that have been in my business and worked
mhm,
with me. And I say that proudly, in the sense of, I've become a person that is attracted.
yeah,
I'm a different person than I was 5 years ago, a
yeah.
completely different person. Um, but when, like, oh, see, I just lost my thought. I get so excited about this stuff. Oh no. Okay.
It's okay. It will all come back to you in a jiffy. Um, we were talking about the people that are great sellers. They're great motivators, but they give you a sugar high, right? And
Yeah.
and when it comes down to you and you get this in MLMs. And I
Hmm.
had a friend who was an MLM junkie and he used to haul me to them all the time. And I'm a true colors coach. And I say to them, they're not talking to that personality. They're not talking to that personality. They've got this
Hmm.
personality riled up and they're talking to that personality. And everybody else is left in the what? Yeah. And
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
right because it's a adrenaline and sugar high. But when we actually sit down with someone and go, all I want to do is share why I'm passionate about this. All I want to
Hmm.
do is share why I feel this way, what this product or
Hmm.
what this service, what this has done for me. And if you
Hmm.
feel that it's something for you, then we can talk,
Hmm.
right? And the whole thing about selling now isn't about you gotta buy, right?
Right. No.
Sign up now. It's about this is why I bought.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, and okay, so I remember.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to look in the sky. It's like somewhere up
Yes.
there. Um,
Catch that
I
cloud.
I'll have those conversations, and I'll have those talks with people, and then I consider you a friend of mine. And
Mm,
another thing, I've considered people who've spent time in any of my, like, free master classes, my free stuff. They're my client already. Like, they're
mm,
just decided that they're spending time with me, which is more valuable than money. And they're spending money with me eventually too. Like, eventually people
yes.
spend money with me too, invest money with me too. And so, but they go, well, I didn't want to bother you. And I'm like, they wouldn't want to message me and ask me a question or something, or share something with me. And I was like, you don't have to pay me to be my friend. Like we
Right.
are now
Yes.
communicated. We're connected in this
Yes.
world. And I want people to know that, like, there's so many different levels of these
Hmm.
connections and these journeys with these people. And I I'm here to inspire that piece in the world of, like, we get to connect and we don't have to, I don't know how to say it, like it's just real, it's genuine, and it's not. And that wasn't me 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, I was, the Enneagram thing. I studied that a little bit, and
Yeah.
with the Enneagram, like, I was a helper and I wanted to do everything for everybody, but I always had an ulterior motive of,
Hmm.
like, what's it going to do for me? What's it going
Yeah.
to? And I burnt myself out on things because I wanted to serve, but I was serving because I didn't feel my love for myself. I didn't
Mm.
feel I was filling
Yes.
holes for myself. And now when I have conversations with amazing humans like you, and I'm so blessed that I get to attract people like you in my life, I have these conversations, and I want to fill you so much because my cup's already full.
Yes.
And
Let
if
it
you
run
also
over.
fill me, right, and
Yes.
if you also give me more, then I'll let it flow all over the place. If
Exactly.
I also receive,
Yes. Yes.
and it's so different than who I was 5 years ago. And I've always loved who I've been in my life, but I've never loved me fully.
Yes.
Like I've enjoyed the process, but I know who I am now, and I want other people to feel the same feeling of like I love who I am.
You're
Like I love when
being.
I wake
You're
up in the
being.
morning. Yes. Yes, I can wake up in the morning and go, if I passed away tomorrow for any reason, like I feel fulfilled. I feel in this place, and I do desire more, and I want to impact more.
Yeah.
But when I lay my head on the pillow and I know I walk out of my RV, because being a full-time nomad, I walk out in different atmospheres all the time,
Yes.
and I go, wow, this is my life. And I want others to feel the same.
And all you're there to do is switch on the switches and show them how to do it, how to be. What is your
Mm-hmm.
beingness? I call these the why shows. Why are you doing what you're doing? What was the driving force
Mm-hmm.
to do what you're doing? Because when we understand our why, then we understand the hows and the whats and the everything else. But it's who do you want to be? Well, I want to be like so and so. No, so and so's taken. That person has inspired
Yes.
you,
So and so's
right?
taken. Yep.
So the inspiration begets the invitation. What they're doing is inviting you to see that same essence of that person within you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not,
Absolutely.
we love pointing fingers. This is what's wrong with the world. You're what's wrong with the world. There's three pointing back at us and going, well, what are we doing
I
about it? What's our responsibility? What's our
say that all the
accountability?
time.
Right, exactly. So it is our happiness isn't anybody else's responsibility, it's ours. However,
Mm-hmm.
there are people along the path when you take the blinkers off and you're willing to surrender, open up, and be willing to receive that are going to help you along the way and push those buttons and show you how to see happiness, how
Yes.
to
Yes,
be
there are.
happy, how to step into beingness and do what you love to do because it is a part of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not there
Absolutely.
to walk it for them. You're there to show them the path in front of them and to give them all the skills and tools they need in order to walk it. And then you're their cheerleader.
Yep. Absolutely. I've the concept of radical responsibility for self that you
Yeah.
just brought up is
Yeah, I
huge,
know. I
huge,
know.
huge, huge. And I think a lot, like I don't think everybody's living in a victim mentality. I do think that, and I'm allergic to that mentality. But there's a higher level of, once you're out of that, there's also this radical responsibility for each thing that is reflected back. So when you feel resistance to somebody or something, it's like, what inside of me, not them, but me, do I need to heal? Do I need to
Exactly. Exactly.
process? Do I need to
Mm.
contemplate? And yeah, through my three pillars of awaken, empower, and own, you just described them in your own words, which I loved. I once we awaken to what it is that we desire, because I mean a lot of, I think you probably do too, a lot of people that it's hard to vision. It's hard to see
Mm.
what's next. It's hard to see
Yes.
past what it is that the place that we've been in, whether it's because we've had a lot of like hard things go on in life, whether it's being in the same thing, whatever it is that we've been programmed, but it's hard to see beyond this. So helping break that open and then empowering through boundaries and
Yeah.
communication and things to really help stand in that ownership of
Yeah.
self that you speak about, and then owning who the heck you are unapologetically.
Yes.
Like, and that piece has been one of the the pieces that when you said the three fingers, I love that you said that,
Mm.
because I'm always like, I was like, I can help you and I can help you and I can do this and for you and you and you. And this is what I did for years because I was avoiding these three fingers on
Right.
myself.
Yes.
I completely wanted to, I did not want to be with myself. I did not like being with myself. I hated being alone, like all this stuff. And when I finally put the spotlight back on me and took radical responsibility, and I was a pretty happy person over the years, but I
Mm.
was happy, not
Yes.
happy.
Yes.
So,
Not happy.
yeah.
I completely get where you're at because I've been doing this 11 and a half years and it's been the greatest therapy I've ever received, right? And I've listened to some stories of things that have happened to people that should never have happened to a human being. And some of the things are just, how can another human, well, they're not a being. There's
Hmm.
some sort of human scum that have done this to them. But it's who they are
Hmm.
today. And one of the big things is they decided not to be the victim. They decided to
Yes.
go through the processes of healing. They decided to
Hmm.
acknowledge their scars, not hide them.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to empower themselves to say, I am not that victim. You have not won over me. I have triumphed.
Mm-hmm.
And they are that beautiful illumination for someone else today. But do they go from A to Z just like that? Or downloadable app? No, they took the journey. Right? A lot of people think they can just download
The
an app and
downloadable app.
yeah, it is a journey. And the more you immerse yourself in the journey, and yes, I promise you, it's going to hurt sometimes. There's going to
Mm-hmm.
be some tears, but they're tears of release. There may be some
Mm-hmm.
physical pain, but it's okay as you go through the pain. It's like giving birth. I say it is an analogy to birthing yourself. And when I
Mm.
finally came out of my own womb, so to speak, and I stood there and I go, okay, you are no longer your past. You're no longer
Mm-hmm.
what's happened to you. You are now this blank slate. Who is the essence of you, Sarah? And how are
Mm-hmm.
you going to show up in the world? Right?
Yes.
And then the universe said, you're going to be a podcaster. What?
I
What's
love
that?
that. Can you explain that?
Yeah, exactly. And
That's
this is something
awesome.
I never would have thought of doing, but and still was a journey even when I was doing that. It's still that everything is a journey. You don't want to be, oh, I've arrived now. No,
Oh no.
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 It's I yes, I've got to a stage in my life where I actually do want the home because now I'm a part of helping raise my grandkids and things like this. So I
Mm-hmm.
want the hub, want grandma's house. But I'm also
Mm-hmm.
the traveling grandma, up with the suitcase and
Yes.
off I go, right? Which is great. I've got that freedom to do that. So it's not like, oh, just because I've got a home, it's my destination. No, that is my
Mm-hmm.
sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
Because you
Mm-hmm.
talked about being alone. I know what it's like to be lonely. In fact, I've just written my memoir, which comes out next month. And my brother, who edited it, because he's a literary master, said, there's a lot of loneliness in here. And I said, and I felt lonely through my life
Mm-hmm.
on my own and with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I no longer feel alone. If people see me, they see me. If they don't, they don't. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very happy to be with my own company now and no
Right.
longer running from me. Right?
That's it right there. That's true freedom.
Yeah.
Like that piece right there, more than anything else that I can teach you in business and teach people in business, whatever. When you are fully fulfilled, when you're just with self and
Mm.
your higher power, whatever yours is, and just having that time. I was I in a nutshell, my mom passed when I was 5. My dad worked 90 hours a week, and we had a big family, but I was the baby of it. And so I really had to learn how to do everything. You wanted to eat,
Yes.
you learned how to cook. You wanted to do your laundry, you did the laundry. Like everything was, and there's a lot of alone time in that process. And
Yes.
when I realized that alone time, when the only time when I wasn't alone was when people were together for food, so
Yes.
holidays. And then all
Yes.
of a sudden I was like, oh, food equals, you know.
Yes.
So then
Yes.
food became this thing, the comfort. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But that turned into a eating disorder that ended up creating for 30 years of my life. I hid this from every human in my life. So when I talk about it, people are like, what?
Mhm.
Like you were always so happy. But I used the binging side of things to really help and to the loneliness
Comfort
to
you.
like I'm
Comfort
not
you.
alone, comfort
Yes.
myself.
Hmm.
And then I created the other half of it to the purging of it to create to deal with my emotions, like
Hmm.
the anger and the all of the different emotions I had as a kid. Like I never had anybody for an outlet.
Yes.
And so I applied that for that. But when I came to the point of wanting to, when my coach was like teaching me how to be and be alone, like that was scary because those two things got triggered when loneliness was there. And then we learned how to replace it. That was a survival mechanism for me. And thank God I had that mechanism because I became very successful in so many areas of being me
Yes.
during the 30 years. But I now I have a new way. I have a new way to manage my emotions. Now I have a new story and tools and resources that I don't need this anymore, and I don't have to be defined by it either.
You're right.
The titles of things I gotta tell that's a whole nother podcast. Like we could talk about titles and what like when people are diagnosed or this and that, and I'm like, you are not what someone tells you you are.
Exactly.
And you are what you believe you are and what you decide you are. And
Yeah.
so in that moment I truly love my alone time now. I get giddy. Like I'm actually alone all day tomorrow on Thanksgiving because my husband's working and my family's on the East Coast and I'm in Colorado now. And I'm cool with that. But I
Yeah.
wasn't 5 years ago. I used to be like, if I had a day where I wasn't gonna be able to spend it, I'd be like, poor me, like nobody loved me,
Yes,
you
yeah.
know. But now it's different. It's different.
It's precious
So
time. It's precious time,
yes,
right? Yes.
yes,
Yeah, I'm one of
yes,
these
yes,
people
yes.
would because my daughter lives an hour and 40 away from me, so when I do that drive, I don't listen to music. I'm going over the
Hmm.
Malahat, the mountain, the beautiful water down in front, the mountains and the trees and everything else. I'm just letting the universe speak to me. I'm letting nature speak to me. And I'm having a wonderful conversation that isn't a dictation, you know? And it's
Hmm. Hmm.
allowing, the word I use a great deal is allow. Allow the universe to guide you. Allow that wisdom to come through you. It will show you how to
Hmm.
use the knowledge, right? Let it ignite your heart into truth. Let it push your spirit through into action and let the mind know what the mind needs to know when the mind needs to know it, right? That is
And
that
trust
allow.
that.
I'm trusting. It is that kind of knowingness. You don't need to validate, verify, justify, or anything. It just is, right?
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my goodness, we could
And it's
talk
such a
forever, couldn't we?
relief. Yeah,
About it.
it's such a relief to be in that just is too, because there is no second guessing. There is no but. It's just,
Hmm.
okay, I understand. Next question is,
Hmm.
what do I do with this now?
Yes, yes. And I've been dabbling the last 4 years, and it's so funny because if you knew me 5 years ago, you'd never see me as someone who was meditating or doing an akashic reading or doing these like things. The woo woo is what we used to call it, right? I was in a
Not for
very
me. I was
masculine
born that
industry.
way.
That's all. That's
That
amazing
was
because
that
for
was my real world.
I was like, why did I not know this stuff
Yeah,
earlier?
I know.
Because I was
Yeah.
in a very masculine world. Five
Yeah.
brothers, dad, restaurant industry. You understand? Like it was always
Oh,
male
yes.
dominated.
Mhm.
I was the only woman at a table of 17 people for like higher leadership positions whenever I was in it. And I'm like, this is not change. So long story short, I did this Akashic reading, and this woman said to me, so your core is freedom and love, and you all you have to do is walk in a room, and that's it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. Just showing up in the room with people will change their lives. And I sat there and I was like, what? Like I didn't. It
You
was
talking about
hard
the
for
person
me to
behind me?
like. I know. I'm like, who is? I was like, what? I'm like, that's cocky, right? Like
Yeah.
that's like, and that so it took me about a year and a half from that reading to like observe and observe, and it's part of my human design. It's part of who
Yes.
I am,
Yes.
and it's a way of like the just being there. And I witnessed at the max level at a retreat I just ran. I ran my first retreat in April,
Bravo.
and I did eight. Thank you. And I was 18 women. It sold out in 14 days, and I was just in shock. Like this was like amazing, and I was so excited. And I was just, and I got there, and I'm like, and I'm the type of person that if I do a talk, I have no bullet. I have one bullet point. I know what I want them to walk away with, but that's it. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about really.
No, no, that's me.
Like I
That's
have,
me.
right, okay, cool, good,
Organic.
sisters. And if I try to, because for years I've been told I wasn't organized enough and you
Yeah.
need to
Yep.
plan
Yep.
and
Yep.
yada
Yep.
yada,
Yep.
but right, and I was always wrong for doing
Mhm.
what was not in my magic.
Yeah.
So now I understand it's my magic. And I stood there at the retreat and asked one question the first night, and that led the whole thing.
Yes.
And everybody started like sharing and bonding, and I sat there and I was like, okay, because they were sharing some deep stuff and
Mm.
some really serious stuff with each other that they had never told people before. And it just, and I was like, this is what she was talking about. And I own
Permission.
this like fully now.
Yes,
Mm.
exactly. Yeah, I mean,
And
I'm with you there. I'm totally with you there because it's in a how prepared have you? Have you got this done? Da, da, da? And I'm not. Like I don't know if you know
mhm,
about true colors, the four key personality traits, but I'm air and water. I've got to be in
yes,
flow, right? I am not
yes,
earth. Like for a lot of the time in my life, it was like walking on lava. I'll be tip, 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 tip over earth, and these roots get away from me completely. But I
hmm,
have a certain amount of rational logic of wanting to know more, wanting to know more, wanting to know more, that investigative nature in there. But I could not do this structured. And if you look at my office, it's chaos. But I live in that
I
chaos.
love it.
That chaos,
Welcome
order
to my
comes out of,
RV.
yeah, out of that chaos comes my order. And if I put
Yes.
things in order, it's in chaos very quickly. And it's not that I'm untidy, it just seems to be that's the way I work. So
Hmm.
don't go against the grain of how you work. And let what you gave the gift of that time with that permission for everyone to unload. and be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
supported in that unloading, releasing something that
Mm-hmm.
needed to be released because they felt safe to do so. And look at the
Yes.
healing that went on in there. Now, if you had an agenda, now we're going to do this at 10 o'clock and this at 12 o'clock and this at 1 o'clock, then people are back into the regimented thinking and they're not in the allowing to go with the flow and
Mm-hmm.
take where the flow needs to go. I'm
Oh,
very much a flower.
yes. Yes, yes, yes. And we were at the beach too in Outer Banks, so the flow was out our window. Like we had like the
Yeah.
ocean just flowing.
Yes.
And a bunch of the women like fully clothed went into the ocean and walked out. They're like, it's gone. Everything's gone. All the stuff we
Yes.
talked
Washed
about. It
off.
was just
Yes.
funny. We just
Yeah.
rinsed it off, rise out of the ocean. So it was, yeah. And I helping others see what it is that we're talking about, like see what it is that their true gifts are, what it is that they where their magic is. Like it's always I always laugh when it's I used to always get picked on as a kid for this, or I told them to stop doing this, and I'm like, that's your magic.
Yes.
Like
I
whatever
know.
you
I
were
know.
told to like don't be so loud or like don't be so emotional or don't be so
Mhm.
and those things were things that make you who your magic today.
Did you, as
So
a
bringing those
person,
back.
did you have that wisdom, to be able to say something to people that were quite profound in what they needed to say, but they look at you and go, well, that came out of you, so therefore it can't be valid. But however, it was very, very apropos to what they needed to hear at the time. Were you that kind of
Yeah,
child?
and it usually comes through. I was the kind of kid that told stories and adult.
Yes.
So I've always
Yes.
been a storyteller, and I
Yes.
found that that's part of my human design too. And
Yes.
the storyteller is how I learned through experiences. So like
Hmm.
history was not my jam.
No.
I had to experience something for it to be really like in my soul. And so everything was acting things out as a kid. Like I was a teacher, I was this, I
Hmm.
was like a
Hmm. Hmm.
choreographer, I was a dancer, I was a singer, I was like whatever it was. And through experiences, and then I would share those, and that's when people would be like, I needed to hear that. And it was just an experience that I shared that I
Yes.
had an impact.
Yes.
And that I must, yeah. So I've
That
always
was your
been that.
magic.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Now
yeah.
imagine if that had
And
been nurtured, right? You imagine. I mean,
mm-hmm,
I'm very much for us looking at our children and the gift that they are, right? And nurturing that gift so they can travel in their life with that gift in mind and become who they're meant to be. Not have to
mm-hmm,
redefine or find themselves 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years later, but know who they are. And then the exploration becomes discovering what their gift is and how to use it and to benefit
mm-hmm,
each other, mankind, right? And imagine what a world we would be in instead of having dysfunctional adults that have followed this dutiful path of expectation, especially society's expectation, which is completely screwed up. And now they feel lost and they feel abandoned. They're not being themselves and they're all on a journey to find
mm-hmm.
themselves in all the wrong places. And when they finally do, then they become the fruits on the tree that everybody wants to pick. But how about we do it when they're young? Catch
I
them when they're
know.
young, nurture them along the way, let that blossom tree. I mean, yes, we do learn from struggle, but do we have to learn from suffering? Do you have to have
Mm-hmm,
suffering to understand the value of life? I don't believe so. I believe we
mm-hmm,
do have to have struggle, but even when you're searching for passion and you've got the passion within you and the magic within you, you're still going to struggle in
mm-hmm,
life to make it happen. So
mm-hmm.
why have we become these people? No, you've got to suffer. And it's like,
Yeah,
to
you got to go
hell
uphill
with
both
that.
ways. Got to work hard, and you got to work. Well, what is it? We joked around. You have to go uphill both ways through the snow. Kill a bear for
Yes.
your notebook. Like
Yeah.
it's just got to be a struggle. And I witnessed that. My dad had his own construction company. After mom passed, he would run. He was raising kids with running that, and that would be 80 hours a week. So I witnessed his company go up and then bankrupt, and then go
Mm.
up and then go bankrupt. And so gosh, now that that's why I never went into the restaurant business in my own business because I was like, well, I don't want to do this
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
That's scary. Um, and I will say, as much as I will share when I share that I was like alone a lot, and I didn't really have any like parental figure till my sophomore year of high school and all that stuff. I mean, they loved me profuse. My dad
Yes.
loved me
But they
profuse. So
just
it
simply were
wasn't
not
love.
there.
He was just trying to survive, like, and keep
Yeah.
the family afloat and stuff like that. My brothers are trying to run their lives and stuff. Um, and I'm so grateful for the experience because it helped me become that like decision maker, not worry about the results. Like I had to decide, and whatever happened, figure it out. Well, I have to decide, happen and figure it out. Um, but all the learnings along the way was it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be
Yeah.
hard. Like just know it's gonna be hard. And now I'm like, oh no, this thing gets to be easy.
Yes.
Because when you're in your gifts and you own yourself and you trust the process and you learn these skills that we're talking about for this whole time,
Yeah.
it gets to flow
Yes.
where it's
But
meant to. What did you
not
say
only
earlier?
with
It
the
gets to flow
heart.
where it's meant to go.
Exactly. Please let it go and flow. But
Mm-hmm.
the other thing attached to that, that it's going to be hard, is that are you worthy? Right? We're brought up,
Mm-hmm.
are you worthy? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think you are? You know, and our self-esteem of never believing
Mm-hmm.
in ourselves because other people look at you and go, well, you can't amount to that. You can't do that. And what they're doing is they're speaking
Mm-hmm.
to their own limitations, but they're imposing those limitations
Yes.
on you, right? So,
Yep.
you know, basically we have to shield ourselves and say, reflect back. You know, I used to do this with my husband when we got into an argument. You say, here's the mirror, take it out, or, you know, this is the only person interested in this argument, right? And if it gets kind of, let it mirror back to the person, that is your discontent. Please don't impose it upon
Mm-hmm.
me. And I think that's the thing is
Mm-hmm.
when we're children, it's we're not encouraged to be everything we can be or explore
Right.
all the opportunities of what we can be. You know, there's that
Mm-hmm.
expectation, and if you don't fit into that mold or that the desire of what they want you to be, then you feel less than. So I imagine a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that you're working with is them giving themselves permission to be who they are and to
Mm-hmm.
value the gift of who they are. And you don't need
Mm-hmm.
anybody else to value you. You need to value yourself first.
Yes. Yes. It's an inside job. It's
Mm.
not, I remember going to my coach and being like, okay, teach me how to build a business you have. Like, give me all the strategy, do all the things. And she giggled a little bit. And I was like, okay, I don't know why she's laughing at me, but okay. And I realized 9 months in when I cried like a baby for 9 months, I was like, why? This is not what I signed up for, but I did. And what I realized is that it was all of what you just explained. It's like giving myself permission and owning and healing and learning about myself and clearing out things that like the stories that I created to survive, like
Yes,
everything that we have created to this day to get us to where we are has has served us in some way, good, bad, ugly. It has served us in some way. A parent
limiting.
does a thing, yeah, and a parent does a certain thing because that's the way they learned how to love. That's the
Yes.
way they learned how to keep safe. You know, if they tell you you can't do something, it's because they don't think it's safe to be an artist, right? How
Mm.
many artists are told you can't make money that way? I have a client, when you were just talking, it reminded me of my most recent client that came on board. That she's an artist and she hasn't done art in like 20 years because she's doing what she should be doing, got a good
Yes.
job, got salary, got this. And so now she's cracking open and she's like cleared her studio and she's starting to paint and she wants to like like we're designing like what the life looks like. And she shared it with her daughter. And here's the coolest part. Her daughter cried when she shared it with her because she was worried to share these things with her kids because then they would think, oh, mom's a bit, and she's because they want to sell the house and go to an artsy area. And the kids were like, thank you for sharing. She goes, because you know what? I want to be an actress. And she's like, I've been holding back from really going for what I want to
Right.
do because I didn't want to disappoint you.
Right.
And
Yes.
she was like, they both started crying.
Yes.
So releasing yourself helps your kids release themselves, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. You know, giving yourself permission to be, all right,
Yeah.
gives permission to those that you love to be who they are, or to at least take the journey in discovery of who they are, right? And you
Yes.
know, when you're a mum, um, they're going to see you always through the mother lens, right? Not
Mhm.
necessarily through the individual's lens. I think if my kids met me as a stranger, each one of them would have a different experience with me and see me in a different way. But I'm still
Mhm.
mum, so I'm still seen as mum who does this,
Mhm.
right? Not necessarily
Mhm.
sorrow. And I say, you really want to know who I am? Here, this is me. But I can't always be that
Yes.
with them because it's still under the label of mum. And that's okay. That's okay.
Mhm.
Right? It's
Mhm.
okay. But that I think is when we get to that point where I know who I am and what I'm doing. And enough people see me to appreciate what I'm doing and enjoy the service that I give, that we don't have to be who we are. We're not being anything else, but we can channel different parts of ourselves. to each individual
Yes.
and work with them on their reflection of you. So we don't have to, well, you don't see me, because that was always my problem. You don't see me. I'm trying to be who I am, but nobody sees me. And it's like they've learned
Hmm.
that they're going to see aspects of you,
Hmm.
certain parts of you. And that's okay. If they can't see the whole of you, they're not ready or they never will
Hmm.
be. But the, meet them where they're at, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's
Hmm.
the important thing, because when you give birth to yourself and you're in this beautiful growth of being who you are, doing what you're doing because you are being what you're doing, um, not everyone is going to see you, and that is okay.
Hmm.
Some people will
Hmm.
drop by the wayside, right? Because
Hmm.
they're just not on that journey. They're just, oh, some may come across you later and go, wow, and now I get it, right? Oh, but most likely it's going to be you're going to have a new vibe tribe,
Yes,
and that vibe
absolutely.
tribe is where you can dance and be completely freely be yourself. And but it's, don't worry about it if people just don't
Yes.
completely get you. It's the people that do, is where you're at home. And it's, but always be yourself. Please never not be yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Like that's the mic drop moment for all. I say, it's when you own yourself, that's true freedom. Like when you
Yes.
understand, when you really and people are like, what does that mean? I'm like, that means like again, unapologetically, like saying what you want to say, doing what you want to do, like following what you want to follow, regardless of
Yeah.
that's not the responsible thing to do, that's not the safe thing to do, and it's so interesting how the story that kept us safe as a child that we learned from our parents, we take into our 50s and we still
Yes.
don't make the decision to go for what we want because we think we're going to lose love from our parents. When you do it, your parents are like, why wouldn't I love you? Like, of course,
Mm.
go for what you want to do, like, and that but that's the story that was created. And when we peel back those stories and we open up and we let ourselves truly be, to what you said, ourselves, and our magic in the world, there's so much fun that can be had. So I gotta say, there's so much fun, joy, love, peace. And again, I'm not saying there's not all unicorns and rainbows. Like there's still
Exactly.
challenges,
Oh, yes.
but
Yes.
it's easier to go
Contentment.
through those
It's
challenges.
contentment to be who you are. You're taking off that
Yeah,
gotta be. No, no, no. Just, it's okay to be me,
it's
right?
girl. I gotta tell you how many voices like I had in my head, and when I
Mm.
finally got to that place, I'm like, it's so quiet up there. Like
Yes.
it's actually
Yes.
like it's actually quieter, and I'm like, oh, this is so much more peaceful.
Yeah, my God, is it? Yeah. I was recently in England visiting my sister who doesn't get what I do at all. Not a thing. And she once called me a do-gooder communist. Because which is hilarious because she has no comprehension of it. And she said, I'm very proud of you. And I go, why? Because, she doesn't get what I do. She goes, you're so at peace with yourself. And
Hmm.
she doesn't need to understand what I'm doing. She understands who I am. I am at
Hmm.
peace with who I am, right? And
Hmm.
again,
Hmm.
she'll never ever listen to one of my shows. Even the ones I do with my brother, who's an author, I interview him. But it's just not her comprehension. None of what we've talked about
Hmm.
today would register. None of it at all. But the fact that she felt me, even if
Yeah.
she didn't
Yeah.
understand, she felt me. That means I am being true to who I am, right?
I love that.
And when people feel comfortable with you because they know they're being with you, not a facade of you, not an agenda of you, but just she's at peace and I want to be around that peace, right?
Yes.
It's very, very rewarding in the sense that you know that the truth of you are being in yourself is being felt out, because that's ultimately what we're looking for,
Hmm.
isn't it? That truth of who you
Hmm.
are.
I feel you, girl. Like on all levels.
Right back at
I
you.
do. You're great at what you do because you are in your zone of genius and what you are meant to do. And it feels so good to be on a show with you.
Thank you
So I
so
want you
much.
to know
Bless you.
that.
But
You're welcome.
you've stepped into who you are. You stopped doing and you started
Hmm.
being, and that's right. And you always have been doing this in everything you've done. all you've done now is extracted your beingness and put it into a package that is helping people more directly rather than indirectly, right?
Yes,
So it's if they didn't buy
absolutely.
you, like when I heard you talk on the 262, immediately I'm in the chat there. I've got to interview you. And I don't interview everybody.
And
I
I
interview
appreciate
the
that.
people that I feel. I've got to feel you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And when we
Oh,
feel
I
someone, we
appreciate that.
feel, I feel you. There's obviously a connection. What, come on, what are we going to do? You know, so
Right, right,
that,
right. How are we gonna like be together? Let's be
yes,
together and
yes.
connect with each other.
And you know,
Yeah,
and not
yeah.
not
No, that's
everybody
good.
may end up being a client, but they could end up being a friend or just somebody who's a cheerleader or somebody that's a referrer. You know, don't always look at everybody as that dollar sign is going to be a client, but just the benefits
Mm-hmm.
of them just being somebody who believes in you, may not need your service, but believes in
Huge,
you is huge, not just for
huge.
you, but for all the people they send to you, because you now
Mm-hmm.
know they know that these people are right for you because they feel it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So feel it. Now, my darling, how do people get hold of you? What kind of courses have you got going on? When's your next retreat? All of that. Share, 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 please.
Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, feel free if you've heard me on this show, like message me on Facebook and just say hi, and we can be friends on there. You'll see my digital diary of everything from my nomad travels and my RV across the country to my business, my life, my dogs, all sorts of stuff. And you'll get the when I'm having the day, I post about that in a very like, this is what I've learned from it way too. So
Yes.
I tell people too, like, if you really want to be impacted by what I do in the world, just hang out with me there. And then, maybe we'll work into future programs together, like you had mentioned. Um, and then I have my website, Jackie Cote Coaching, where all the different podcasts and things that I do are on there, and my programs are on there. But what I'm super, super excited about are two things. I have one-on-one coaching and I have group coaching, but I have a mastermind that I've run for a while now, and it's been beautiful with the women that I have in there. And I'm actually adding to it, and I'm so excited about it because 2 years ago, in November, 2 years ago, I had hired like five different coaches at one point because I felt like I wasn't probably, in that not enough, and I need to know more to get to the next level, and I need to, and I just still wasn't in full trust and embodying of who I am and what I bring to the world, right? And they're all amazing, but the challenge was that one, I was putting a lot of money out the door, and
Mm,
two, they were all different points of view, and I was hearing too many voices, and so
yes.
I couldn't hear my own intuition, and they weren't on the same page and support to all different views, which was amazing, and I love that. But I couldn't hear myself. So for the last 2 years, I've been really mulling over like wanting to create a container where people could get the support in wellness, financial, technology, which I can't tell you how many really powerful women have been held back because of technology. Just a simple technology. They've been super successful in their past. Productivity and confidence. And so, me and five people that I've vetted for the last 2 years are going to be in my program. You get six different coaches, but we are working monthly on making sure we're supporting you in a really healthy manner that is you, everything Sarah and I just talked about, but you getting to know what's aligned with you and owning with
Yes.
you. Now, we're all going to have ways of being, but we all come from the mindset way. When I love like my wellness coach, that's going to be in it. She's not about like what do you eat and how do you move and this and that. No, she's about like getting back to your circadian natural rhythm of what you were born with in this world. And
Mm,
I was like, "Oh, I love you" when I met her.
yes. Yes.
So this container kicks off, and right now, if anyone enrolls in this container before the end of the year, they actually get this year's prices, but it kicks off in January officially. And I'm just so excited because we're gonna have 7 touch points. We're gonna have guest speakers coming in, like all sorts of stuff. So it's a really, really exciting program for me, for that mastermind. That's called the Freedom Creators Mastermind. So come on, don't you all want to become freedom creators of the
Yes.
life you truly desire? Come
Exactly.
on,
Come on in. The waters are great.
right? So that's an extremely exciting one for me. And then I run free master classes every month. So if you're in my world, you'll hear about my free master classes. They get posted in everywhere that I'm in, every whatever places. But that, my one-on-one coaching, and then my retreats. Oh my gosh. So my next retreat, Sarah, I can't tell you. I just came back from Tennessee. So I had one in Tennessee last week. It was amazing. The women and I, we were like, gonna do business until you point what we talked about earlier. we just let it flow. And of course,
Mm,
flow goes to the inner work of what's holding you back.
yes.
We all know what we need to do. We just don't do it because we're stuck in here, and we need to get out of here and get into here. And so that's what this weekend brought out for us. The next one's Montana, and I got to tell you, when I turned 50, this was a year and a half ago. When I turned 50, I was in Glacier National Park, and I remember standing there in this like spiritual, beautiful, gorgeous, magnificent place going, I know what I'm meant to do for the rest of my life. Like I'm here, I'm in it, I know who I am. And I was like, I gotta bring women back here. So June of 2024, I'll be running a retreat in Montana, and we're gonna explore Glacier National Park, and then we're gonna do everything and just stand
Yeah.
in our um and let's see, I think that's everything. And I pop up stuff all the time. I pop up little things here and there. So
And
did my
also,
internet
you've
go
got
funky?
a free video training on intentional goal, which people who come back to
Oh,
selfdiscoverywisdom.com and put in your name,
yes.
Jackie, Jackie, Cote, Cote, her show will come up and you'll be able to get that free giveaway. And of course, your website is JACKIECOTE coaching, COACHING.com, and on Facebook, Jackie J Cote, and then Instagram, Jackie Cote Coaching, LinkedIn, Jackie Cote, and of course you can email her as well. So it's uh, it's all there, and I do these shows for inspiration because invitation. If you feel inspired by the show and Jackie today, which I don't see how you could not be, reach out because maybe it is one of these retreats that you're needing to hear, or maybe you do need to just have this free video to kind of get engagement of it. Maybe we've sparked enough something inside of you today that you go, okay, what's next? What do I need to do next? I'm intrigued. What do I need to do next? And just have a quick chat with Jackie and to find out
Mhm.
where you can go next, whether you want to dip your toe in the waters or whether you want to jump right in. It doesn't matter what level, right?
Right, right. And yes, I think I shared the link, but everyone just gets a free call to sit with me and just chat about that. And
Yeah.
if I don't think I'm the next part for you, or what's your part of your what's next, I'll tell you. Like if I
Yes,
think there's something different that would be a better fit, I have tons of people in my world that I will connect you with that'll get you
exactly.
the right place, the right thing you need for the right place and where you are in your journey.
Yeah. I'm with the people in the right vibe, right? It's
Hmm.
finding that vibe tribe,
Yes,
somebody that you can
exactly.
feel in flow with. Because really, what we want to do is get you into flow. When you're into flow, you're gathering
Yes.
into know, you're allowing, and that permission to just be is universal. And you just get out and explore. And that exploration of who you really are and what you're really here to do, and how life is here supporting you, is so exciting. And it's just waiting for you to open the door.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
Ah,
Oh,
Jackie, you're going to have to come back again. This was delight. You're going
let's
to have
do
to
it.
come back again. Definitely. Most certainly. I've enjoyed every minute of this. And I hope everybody else has felt off low because we've been in it. And that's really what it's about, isn't it? Life is a rhythm. What's your rhythm? Find other rhythmic people around you. You don't want everybody being exactly the same rhythm. You want the orchestra, but you want everybody who knows how to play the same tune harmonically, right? But with their each with their
Mm,
different instrument. So, kind of get into the flow, folks, and get into the know and just enjoy life. Life is absolutely
yes.
beautiful, even in its difficult moments, even in its
Yes.
struggles. It's beautiful because you understand this is worth struggling through right now because of where it's going to take me. So therefore, it's okay. I've got this. It isn't too much of a struggle, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Just a challenge. And we're up for the challenge because we know we're awesome. We're beautifully flawsome.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Do you have a swag shop yet with all your sayings? I
no.
think you need to have like a swag shop. I'm just saying. I think a product line is coming.
Well, I'm on books right now. My book, and then the anthology book of raising our gifted children, and then the next one is going to be anthology with coaches. And so, yes, it's books and education next. So,
I
gotta
love
gotta
it.
take this
Love it.
wisdom and stretch it out, most certainly. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Yes.
Been fantastic having you here. Please, people, reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out. Even if you just go to her Facebook, right? Just go to her
Hmm.
Facebook and start following the feed, start responding, start communicating. Dip that toe in.
Hmm.
Because I promise you, you'll want to
Yes.
immerse yourself into the waters. And when you do, Ah, does it feel good? It really does.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Thank you so much.
my pleasure. Oh, and yes, we've got to have you back on again. It'd be great to have you on in the new year. So, to everyone else out there, remember, you're a beautiful rhythm of life, just looking for your flow, looking for your meaningful purpose. And when you get out of your head and you trust your soul, heart, and spirit, and you allow someone like
Mhm.
Jackie that knows your fluidity, she'll show you how to get on your way. And that's where we want you folks, because you elevate us all. And when we're in an elevated world,
Mm.
we're in a world of love. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.